Procrastination is power. Now you may be thinking, why am I saying procrastination is power? Let me explain you this way. Make a list of all the tasks that you are procrastinating or you are delaying or avoiding. And when you look at the list of your tasks, you will realize that those are the tasks that are actually giving you some sort of a pain, right? Now let me give you an example of this. Okay? You know the whole world is screaming at you that you should work out and exercise every single day for your health and fitness, for your immunity. But what happens is when actually the time comes of exercising, suddenly you remember that one video that you have to watch, or that one post that you have to see, or one email to respond, or a phone call to reply to. And you do that and you suddenly see that next 2 hours have passed and then you realize that, oh my God, I don't know what happened. And then you come up with a next idea and your next thing is like, you know what, it's very late now. We have already had a pretty hectic day and tomorrow is very early day. So you know what, let's skip it together. Let's start it tomorrow. Isn't it? Has it happened with you before? My God, it has happened a lot with me before. But you know what? Every time you want to eat that pastry or that chips or that cake, you will come up with a perfect inner monologue and a justification that why should you do it? And you end up doing it. Now, do you see what I'm saying right now here? The things that give you pain, you want to avoid them. And the things that give you pleasure, you want to do them. Now, why does that happen? You may be thinking that I know that if I do these little painful tasks right now, it's going to be very, very good for my future. In fact, it's going to make me achieve my dreams, make me achieve my goals, and I'll be way ahead in my game. But you still end up doing nothing about it. Yes or no? Every time you procrastinate, you beat yourself up. You call yourself lazy and you kind of give yourself all those names and labels and say that you're really not serious about your future. Look at these people. Look at that friend of yours who's going ahead of you. What is wrong with you? Kind of you ask yourself this question 100 times and you still don't have answer to them. You promise yourself that tomorrow is going to be a new day and you're going to be a different person. But when that tomorrow comes, you end up being the same old person. Has it happened with you before? Well, in my life, for a very long time, I was the queen of the nation of the procrastinators. I was actually, it was very difficult for me to complete my homework on time, eat my food on time, reach anywhere on time. And, every time I would be, delaying this task, I would see people around me looking at me like a loser. I don't know whether they actually did or it was my perception about them and the life that I was leading. That every time I would delay or not finish things on task, I would have these horrible labels for myself where I would call myself that I am this big fat procrastinator. I'm such a lazy person. I'm a horrible person. I'm not capable. I really am not serious. I don't want to do things. And you know what? Maybe I'm really not smart enough. And every time I would tell myself that I will change and I would give more efforts, I would put in more hard work, and I would end up becoming even worse than before. My performance became worse and worse every single day. So as a child, this bubbly, active girl, unknowingly somewhere, because of my performance and these labels that I had given myself and these conversations that were going on inside me, automatically put me way behind in my game, and I became a messed up loser. As a child, when I was delaying these tasks or avoiding completing these tasks, people around me may have said certain things to me and, kind of gave me those labels that maybe I'm lazy, or maybe I don't want to do things, or maybe I really am not serious about those tasks. But eventually, I picked these labels or these conversations around me and made them my own thoughts. And the more these thoughts became prominent inside me, the worse I started performing. All this happens so unknowingly when you are a child that it becomes difficult for you to finally understand whether this is you, the person who's constantly procrastinating, or the person who really wants to achieve your dreams. So there is a constant fight going on between two people inside you. You know what I mean, right? Today I want to tell you that procrastination is not your fault. Yes, procrastination is not your fault. Let me make you understand why am I saying this. See, your brain's primary function is to keep you safe and to keep you comfortable. But every time you want to set your goals or pursue your dreams, isn't it outside of your comfort zone? Now look at the irony. When your brain's primary function is to keep you alive and comfortable, and if your goals and dreams are going to be outside of the comfort zone, then it's going to be creating a conflict between inside your brain that anything that is painful, whether it's physical pain or an emotional pain, is an uncomfortable situation for your brain. And every time you sense this discomfort or an uncomfortable situation in your life, your brain is going to feel it as a threat. It's going to perceive it as a threat and it's going to push it away. So the more you want to go into the space or the more you want to pursue things which are giving you emotional discomfort or a physical discomfort, your brain is going to automatically push it away from you and you will find yourself procrastinating. Now, isn't it a revelation to you? Because every time that your brain is pushing those tasks away and you are giving yourself that label that you are lazy, that's not the truth. Your brain is primarily keeping you safe and alive. Now you may be thinking that why would my brain feel that completing this task is a pain for me? Well, now is the point that you need to understand is every time the task that you don't like doing, releases a certain sort of an emotion inside you or a certain sort of a feeling that you feel, whether it's boredom, whether it's sadness, whether it's kind of like, anxiety or fear or whatever it is, your brain sees as pain, as simple as that. And the brain cannot distinguish between the physical pain or emotional pain. Both physical and emotional pain is going to be registered in a brain as something which is uncomfortable. A part of your brain is always looking out for your survival and your comfort. So the goal that you're setting, and if it is uncomfortable, your brain is not going to cooperate with you to achieve that goal. On the contrary, now think about it, the tasks that you complete willingly and on time or sometimes before time are the tasks that give you pleasure. It releases certain hormones inside you which are called as DOSE hormones. DOSE stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin and endorphins. These are the happy hormones. And the moment those tasks, when you are doing those tasks or when you're completing those tasks, it releases that dose inside your body. And the moment that dose is released, your brain gets the message that this is something that is comfortable, this is something which is pleasurable, this is something which is you can celebrate and keep doing it again and again and again. Now there are two ways that you can solve this problem. If your brain understands pain and pleasure, that's the language of your brain, then every time you see yourself procrastinating into some task which is so important for you to achieve your goal, for you to get ahead in your life, you must show your brain an even bigger pain, a future that maybe if you don't complete this task on time, then what is that painful future going to be for you? Let me give an example about this, okay? Like suppose that if you don't exercise every day or if you don't exercise on that particular day, forget about every day, just let's take it that particular day. If you don't exercise that particular day, it will slowly diminish your immunity. It will slowly make you a weak person. It will slowly make you feel that you don't have the strength to complete other things and go towards your future. So what will your future be in that case? Like today if you don't work out, tomorrow if you don't work out, if you don't work out every single day, what is the research saying? Like what is the research says that if you don't work out every single day, will you get some cardiovascular diseases or will you fall into the diabetes? I'm saying that anything which is more painful that your brain can see, that can happen to you in future. You can simply show that picture to your brain and tell the brain, or maybe you can write this down and say that, if I don't do this exercise today, after 5 years, I may have these problems. That's one way to show your brain, that part of your brain which is survival brain, which will immediately kick in and say, oh no, if I don't do this work, then my survival is at threat. and the brain will focus on doing that activity on time. And there is another way to look at it is, if your brain learns something with pleasure, then how can you make your most boring or the mundane task simple and maybe fun? Or if you feel that there is some task that cannot be made fun, or cannot have, like, they are going to be mundane probably, then maybe you can set up a reward system where after completing this task, then I am going to do this fun activity. So moment your brain sees that there is a future that you're going to have this fun activity where the dose will be released and you'll feel better, it will support you to finish the task before time, because now the brain is looking at the pleasurable fun activity. Something that you really need to understand is, you are not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastination. And every habit is developed at some point of time in your life, right? If the habit is developed, a new habit of doing things on time can also be developed. And the most important thing that you must know is, you are not always procrastinating. Let's be honest with this and look at the things in your life that you finish before time or on time. I'm sure there are some things that you definitely do on time or before time. Make a list of those things. And now when you look at those things, you will realize that there is a pattern emerging in those things as well. Now let me show you what is the pattern that is emerging there. And that pattern is of what you value the most in your life. Yes, what you value the most in your life. Again, let me give an example about this. Suppose you value your health a lot. So no matter what, how much busy you are, how difficult your day is, you're still going to squeeze in the time to work out. Because it's important for you, you value your health. If the relationship is important for you, you are going to make that time out for a coffee or a dinner with that loved one of yours. If you value money, then no matter what, you're going to save some money, you're going to learn how to invest money and grow your money. If you value personal growth, then how much ever busy you are, you're going to watch this TED talk or maybe listen to a podcast, but you're not going to allow yourself to not do those things that you really, really value. Why? Because that gives you pleasure. None of us are permanent procrastinators. We do things that we value. So when I realized this is such an important thing, I literally got that one magic pill. And I started connecting every boring, mundane or the task that I was procrastinating in my life with the things that I value. For example, I just don't like working out. And I used to procrastinate constantly on it, that, even though I knew that yes, it is important to work out, but I just couldn't get myself up to do it. Or even when I would do it for a couple of days, I would end up not doing for a week again. So consistency was seriously lacking. So what I started doing is, I realized that what is my most important thing in my life, or what do I value the most? That's my family, my son. I realized that my son loves adventure sport, and the only way I can go on an adventure sport, which will require a certain level of fitness and certain level of weight that I must have to pursue those difficult activities, I started connecting the two things together in my brain. That if I work out every single day, and if I eat healthy, and if I am fit, it is going to help me connect better with my family. I can live a long, healthy life. I can enjoy my life with my family. At the same time, I can go on those adventure activities with my son and create those beautiful, happy memories. Now you understand what I'm saying here? Procrastination is actually a power tool. It can actually show you what is that emotion that you're trying to avoid by avoiding that task. Once you recognize that uncomfortable emotion, and once you work through that uncomfortable emotion, you are no longer going to be procrastinating that task. This is a habit that can be easily reversed by simply asking yourself this question: what am I trying to avoid here? What is that uncomfortable emotion that I don't want to face? Because that uncomfortable emotion is that hidden elephant in that room of your mind. And the moment you recognize it, and the moment you address it and work through it, I guarantee you will be free of procrastination and you will accelerate your success.